Hi Stampers, it's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome to our YouTube/Facebook Live for today. It is December 12th. We are less than 2 weeks from Christmas and about 3 weeks, a little more, to our new Sale-a-bration and a new mini catalog. So I hope you guys are excited. I have already sent out the catalogs. So look for a pink envelope in your mailbox. If you have ordered from me in the last year, those have already been sent. I stuck them in a pink waterproof envelope, hoping that, it'll get through all the snow we've all been having and get to you in one piece, because it's exciting, all the stuff that's in there. And we're going to be using one of those things today. This is the Adorable Owls stamp set, and it's a free Sale-a-bration stamp set for our Sale-a-bration 2023. Can you believe it? So I'm excited to show you what we're going to be working with. This is indeed a red rubber stamp set, which I love. And we're making a fun fold card, a real easy one. And then we're going to do this little owl in a tree thing as well. And we're going to play with an embossing folder, which we haven't done in a while. So I thought maybe it was time to do that. Good morning, everyone. Cloudy and cold. We have that too here in Idaho. Yes, Merry Christmas, everyone. Make sure that you're typing in hashtag Prize Patrol, because that is how you get entered into the drawing to get today's card. So you would have your choice of which one I would be sending you if you win that at the end. So hang out till the end. As I said, we are using the new stamp set. This new catalog is going to go live January 5th, as well as Sale-a-bration. And remember, this is only going to be this year. They've narrowed it down. They're only going to do it once a year. And it's going to be January 5th to February 28th. So you don't want to miss out on that. And this is one of the free options that you can get. And it's got these super cute little owls. And we're going to go ahead and use all three of them. And then we're going to color them with the Stampin' Blends. Or if somebody wants, I can also use watercolor pencils. I have those here as well. I know most people have been kind of excited about the blends. Looks like I'm going to need another block, maybe. We'll see. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. How about that? So we're going to need the little guy with the bow tie and our little flying one. And we can put our party hat on the inside. So what we're going to need is a standard card base. So this one is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We're all familiar with that. And then our layers for it are our standard layer of 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have one for inside, one for outside. And then I have this additional piece here that is a 2-inch strip of early espresso. You could also use soft suede. I just wanted it to look like a tree. And then I took one of our smaller layering circle dies and I cut out of the middle. This will be the hole that the owl is going to poke through. And I went ahead and cut it first, and then I'm going to dry emboss it. So for the dry embossing, I'm going to bring in our cut and emboss machine. And I'm going to be using plate number 1, the embossing folder, and then plate number 4. And this is because it's a 3D embossing folder, and that's the sandwich down here. It says when using with 3D embossing folders, use plate 1 and plate 4. So your directions are always right there on the plate. And we're going to go ahead and run this through. Now, when we run this through, we want to run this with the seam going in first. That's the best way to take care of your embossing folders. If you feed them in backwards, sometimes they have a tendency to split, and we don't want that. This feeds through nice and easy. It's very smooth. And then it will fold up and store away. Now, this is our larger one. This is our standard cut and emboss machine, but there's also a mini cut and emboss machine, which is a 3-inch opening instead of 6. And that's great for a lot of our smaller dies and is great for traveling and taking with you if you know, craft on the go or go to a friend's house to craft with them. And if you are looking for a cut and emboss machine, you want to take a really good look at the back half of this Sale-a-bration brochure, because there's something exciting back there that I can't show you right now. There's going to be a deal coming out with that, and a sneak peek at a new in color. So when you get this, flip to the back and check that out, because there's a great deal on those, on the mini. We've been asked to keep our mouths quiet, but if you have the catalog, you can go look. It's exciting stuff. So here, let me see if I catch some light on it. Now you can see how it looks kind of like a tree now that we have dry embossed. And I'm going to be going ahead and putting this on a layer of basic white. And I left it a little bit long because if you've followed me for very long, you know I'd rather leave it too long and trim off excess than have it be too short. That really bothers me when it's short. And then we're going to just lay it on there, and I'm going to use a small thin pencil, and I'm just going to draw a circle. And that's just because that's where this is going to glue down. But I want the owl to appear to be coming from behind. So I want to stamp him, but I want to know where to stamp him. So this little circle is going to tell me I need to stamp in that area. So I'm going to bring in Early Espresso. This works as well as the Memento ink for coloring with the Stampin' Blends. And that's because it's a water-based ink. Basically, when you're coloring with alcohol, you want a water-based ink. And if you're coloring with water, you want an alcohol-based ink. You want to go with the reverse. So there we have our little owl. And then we can go ahead and erase the little circle around him. Oops. And I'm smearing him because he's not quite dry. But that's okay, because we're going to color him in, right? So I'm just looking for a couple of browns. I'm going to bring in a dark yellow. So this is a Daffodil Delight Dark. This is one of our just colored browns. This is the 100. Let's see. I will do bronze. I like that as a good brown. And let's see, let's go gray granite. So let's quickly color this guy in. Oh, and I suppose while we have the blends out, let's go ahead and stamp our little guy in the air. So if we know this is going to be about there, put him there. I love that you're so conditioned you think that 50 degrees is cold. What am I looking for? Oh, I was going to do his bow tie. Let's do that in Starry Sky. And I don't know if you saw on my page earlier but several of you were anxious to get your hands on the latest stocking stuffer PDF tutorial, and that is live in the store. So if you were waiting on that one, it's ready. There are actually 7 different projects in that tutorial. From the store, you can see the images of all of what's in there. But it's basically what we did on those 2 YouTube videos. Was it last week? I like these for their eyes. I think this really makes them pop. If we do Tahitian Tide and Parakeet Party. And we can choose to either color them the same or color them different. I think maybe for the sake of speed, I might do them the same. When you're coloring, what do you prefer to use? We have our regular Stampin' Write markers. We have the Stampin' Blends. We have watercolor pencils. We have watercolor where we would use the water painters and standard ink. There's so many different options, and I tend to always default to the Stampin' Blends because for a while they were new. So I was basically showing them off so you saw what was new, but now I'm just like in love because they make me look fancy. But way back when I started using Stampin' Up! In the 90s, the watercolor pencils were kind of new, and the blender pens. How are you liking the watercolor pencils? Do you use something with them? I have heard of people putting them into, I think it's some kind of glycerin that helps it, or they'll dip the pencil tip into water before they color with it. And I've also seen them just use them plain and then use the blender pen to get rid of the little hatch marks, I guess you would call them, from coloring. So I'd be curious how you use those. Somebody said their order has not shipped. I did get a call or an email actually from one of my customers saying that they ordered earlier, and that their order had not arrived. And I want to point out, we did hear in the leader group earlier today that December 1st was like record numbers of sales. It was the highest sales day, like revenue of the entire year, and the second highest of the last 3 years. But because it was so much clearance rack and so much last chance, it was the highest of like number of items. So they have been in kind of panic mode over there in the shipping department. And even the bigwigs are coming down and they're on the pick line packing orders. And they're going to continue doing that through Christmas and actually in between Christmas and New Year's, because December 15th is free shipping. So if there's something on your wish list, you want to make sure that you tell your loved ones that you want Stampin' Up! For Christmas. You can even go into the store and there's a little way that you can put a heart next to it and create a list. And then once you have the list created, you can email it to people. If you need help with that, just let me know. But let them know that December 15th, that's this Thursday, it will be free shipping, so they can even save some money, not only by shopping the last chance and the clearance rack, which is still pretty full, but then absorb the free shipping as well. So some fabulous deals out there. Sorry, I got quiet. I'm trying not to color outside the lines, you know. And then I'm going to come in with a slightly lighter color for inside his ears. No coloring at all. I actually find it relaxing, but I also enjoy fussy cutting, and people laugh at me there too. So if you wanted to use the owls or any of our outline and not color them, you can. They would still look super cute. And you could even selectively color them, like maybe not color the whole thing, but maybe just do his eyes and his bow tie. I often will stamp with outline flowers and just stamp them in pink and yellow and purple and mix them up and not color the insides. See, I want gray granite. It's those two. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of blending with our blending brushes. And again, this is something I, started using because it was new and wanted to showcase how to use them. But there are other ways. We have our stamping sponges that we've had, and then we also have our sponge daubers. There's lots of different ways to create backgrounds. But I like the blending brushes, and I was super excited to find out that in January, we are getting new ones. We've had our blending brushes, and I have one of each of the colors, not each color specifically, but I have one I use for blues, one for greens, one for browns, that kind of thing. And they came out with little ones. So now if I wanted to work my way around this guy and not go over the top of him, I could either mask him with our masking paper, or I can just use a little brush and go around him. And so I'm going to do that using a balmy blue. And I do have a tendency to start off. See, and I even swirled on too quickly. And something I saw online, which I thought was quite clever, is I have used the Tim Holtz. I don't know. It's kind of a matte. It reminds me of the ones that go underneath cookies, the silicone mats, because they're nice and slick, and it's nice to be able to swirl around on your surface before coming on and have it be slick. And so somebody has used a window sheet under their blending surface. Because it's a window sheet, it wipes off easily with just a rag or a tissue and makes for easy cleanup. And then they stuck a piece of designer series paper or something on the edge. Because it's clear, it could easily get lost on your desk. And so having the designer series paper edge made it easy. Gamasol, that's what I heard. That's what I was thinking of as glycerin, was Gamasol. And I believe you get that in the like the first aid department. Isn't it something to do with like a first aid? Or is it something out of the artist department? Because there was something out of the first aid department that I was not familiar with that somebody was using. See, I love it when we come on here and I get you guys to interact, because even I learned some new things. I mean, I've been doing this since, oh my goodness, 96, 97. But there's always still something new. There's quite a bit that remain, we revisit that disappeared for a while and comes back, but there's also new stuff. Okay. Somewhere here I had paper snips. There we go. And I always trim from the back because I like that I can see the difference, between the two colors. It's nice and drastic, the difference. And then we're just ready to adhere it to the front of our card base. Now I do have a little bit of a goof here that I'm not happy with. And I don't know. There's several things that we can do with it. We can blend over it and try to make it, blend in some more so it's not so obvious. We can maybe wrap some ribbon around it. Even if we took ribbon and just made a corner thing here or put our sentiment there. We can have the sentiment come in from the side. We can put embellishments over the top of it. Sorry. But that's often a challenge to say, okay, well, we goofed a little bit here, but I don't want to throw away the whole card because all that coloring took me a while. So we might see what other ways we can do this up. I'm looking for a small sentiment. For you. And I could have put that on with dimensionals too. But just trying to think quickly on the fly on how to cover up a boo-boo. The base on this is Tahitian Tide. This one here is Balmy Blue. So it kind of depends on how bright you want it. For our next card, I'm going to be using that little fancy fold, but I'm also going to be using some new designer series paper. This is the Gingham Cottage. And this is the designer series paper we're going to be using in our Sweet Songbird class in January. That's going to be an online retreat kind of thing. It's a stamp camp. It's basically we'll spend the day online on Zoom and in Facebook as we teach you how to make various cards using this designer series paper and the Sweet Songbirds bundle. And this one comes with a punch. For our card today, we're going to be using the little branch that it comes with. And then we're going to use our owl. So not using the whole bundle today. But I'm going to bring in our card base. This time we're going with Balmy Blue. I did 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So again, standard size. Then I have the one for the inside is the 4" by 5 1/4. I use the largest of the stylish shapes to cut this stitched circle. And then I have a piece of designer series paper that is 4" by 2.5 inches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the front of the card, or half of it anyway. So I'm bringing in my trimmer and I'm setting this down here at 2 3/4. And then I'm going from the score line down. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put the score line right at the edge of the little track because I basically want to cut it off. I don't want that, I don't want to say ruined cardstock, but that scored cardstock, the fibers have been broken down, and I want to take that off and not include it in my card. So I don't know if you can see that there, but I took the score line with it. This is often what I will do when making boxes and things, is make sure that the score line gets cut off. Oh, I'm in need of a new blade again. When you're in need of a new blade and don't have one, or you're waiting on an order for them to come in, it's handy to have an emery board nearby. And that will help take the little fuzz off the edges. You also want to make sure that you keep your track good and clean, because sometimes I find that I'm not really in need of a new blade as much as there's loose fiber in the track here. Oh, yep, see? So I just ran this little piece of cardstock down the track and got all this little fiber out of there. So that could have been why I wasn't getting a clean cut. You always want to check that first before embarking on a new blade, because of course the blades cost us money and cleaning out the track is free. So this paper is different on each side, but because of that, when I fanned this open, if you're looking and you're saying, oh, well, there's only 4 pieces of that one color, there's actually, which one is it? There's actually going to be 8 because there's the 2 sides. So see, here's one side of it and here's the other. So there's 8 of each one, which is kind of nice, especially for those of us that are doing parties and things or making multiples. The patterns kind of go a little further. And they're so close in design that really it's not going to disrupt your cohesiveness too much. So this piece I can set aside and use later. And then I'm going to come in and do my stamping on this. My stitched circle from the Stylish Shapes. This is what we call two-step stamping, and then I'm doing one thing. I'm stamping the tree, but I'm doing it in 2 steps. One step is going to be the branch, and the second step is going to be the leaves. And I was asking somebody one time about the amount of fuzz that's produced in that little track. And if I use basic black, I get a lot of fuzz in there. And they said because the darker colors like basic black, blackberry bliss, those things that are really dark, they have more recycled material in them. And that's why they break down a little easier. So that kind of made sense. $19.98. Yep, I was a demo back then. I've stopped in between and came back, but I was a demo back in '98 when my kids were little. I loved it, and that's why I'm back to it now that they're grown up and out of the house. And yep, remember we had to put the stamps together? You had to like cut the rubber and assemble the stamps. I used to make my husband put clear, what do you call it? Shellac on all of my blocks so that when I stamped with them, they didn't get the ink on them. I could wipe them off. Guess I was kind of picky. But he was nice enough to humor me, and he did. He painted them all with the clear acrylic. Okay, on the outside, there's my sample. No, putting them together was not fun. We had to have the special scissors to cut the rubber, remember? So I'm going to put the guy sitting with the bow tie outside. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Crushed curry, Cajun craze. Nope, those are not the right colors. Okay, early espresso. Okay, so this is Watercolor Pencils 1. It's a set of 13. And then we have Watercolor Pencils 2, which is another set of, I believe it's 10. And they're in our Stampin' Up! Colors, which is super fun. So everything still coordinates. I have 2. My son is, oh gosh, going to be 32, and he's married and has a stepdaughter who is 14. And then I have a daughter who's going to be 28. My son's down in Henderson, Nevada, and my daughter is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, working for an elevator company. She's a superintendent. So she has worked very hard on her career and has been quite successful in it. She works for ThyssenKrupp. It's now TKE. And they have been so impressed with her that they have put her into a special program for up-and-coming employees, I guess. She's been featured in their little internal magazine. It's kind of exciting to see your kids be so successful. Troy works for the VA, and he's in the executive offices too. So they're both doing very, very well. Both making more money than me, which is a good thing. You always want your kids to be more successful than you are. Okay, so I'm doing this very quickly and messy, and I'm not coloring in the whole thing. And that's on purpose because I'm going to bring in the blender pen, and then that's going to help us out. So if you look at this, it's kind of a mess. It looks like a little kid was coloring, right? Well, that's going to be the beauty of our blender pens. So I'm going to start out making sure that they're clean. And then I'm just going to bring this in, and it's going to bring enough moisture that will allow me to take the pigment that's on there and spread it around and smooth it out. So now his bow tie looks better. And I'm going to use the same pen. I'm just going to color on my scrap paper until I've cleaned it off. And then I'm going to come into the early espresso and start moving this around. You can get some colored variation by just coloring like a dark line on an outline and then using your blender pen to draw it into the middle, and you'll get kind of a variegated ombre effect. But I'm just kind of spreading it around and getting rid of the little hatch marks and basically just blending it out. Hence the name blender pen. And I've had these same blender pens forever, like forever. The 90s at least. And there is a really great recipe online to refill them if you're wanting to save some money. But they're really inexpensive. You get a pack of 3 of them for not much money. But see, how much difference did those blender pens make? And it didn't even take that time. When you redo these, let me grab. I have these reverse tweezers, and now we have some with Stampin' Up. But basically, you would take this part out and you would soak it in this solution of stuff that you get, that's on Pinterest. I can get it for you if you're looking for it. But it's glycerin and water and I can't remember what all, but you just soak them and put them back in and they're ready to go. Stampin' Up! Probably wouldn't like me telling you that. They want you to buy new ones, but I'm here to help you save money. So I would love for you to buy your initial set from me, and then I will give you the recipe for the refills. Blender brush, sorry. So now I'm going to come in with some more balmy blue. Try not to be so heavy-handed this time. I'm always telling people in my class not to be in such a hurry like I'm doing now, and just start out very light, because you can always add more, but it's kind of a pain, as you saw, to cover it up or fix mistakes. Okay. So this is what he looks like colored with Stampin' Blends, and this is what he looks like colored in watercolor pencil. So both are cute. Yeah, there's always lots of new toys to get. Always. This is not an alcohol marker. This is a blender pen. Just going back for questions. But we're pretty much ready to start assembling. Let's go ahead and do our inside little party bird. This one goes this way. And I'll go ahead and color those off camera. But we still need a sentiment. So in our little bundle here, we have My Friend, It's Your Day, and Hoot Hoot, You're So Cute. We'll do that one on there. This is our Simply Chamois. I cut mine in 4 because they're easier to use on the Stamparatus that way. If you wanted to, you could, do a little light blending. I usually don't do it too dark on the inside. I like more of a hint inside. But this helps you carry the theme from outside into the card. And then when I adhere this onto the front, I only want adhesive on this side because I don't want to glue my card shut. but I want it adhered to the panel over here. So I'm centering it, but I'm only putting adhesive over here. And that's what's going to allow it to open and show us the inside. So there was card 2. And here was card 1. And I just had the inside for that. Here we go. And there we go. There's our 2 cards for today. And I'm going to come back on Thursday with more cute little cards from this adorable owl. Literally, that's the name of it. Adorable Owls stamp set. I had someone even ask me for some 3D items. They were looking for more like the stocking stuffer ideas, but geared towards Valentine's Day. And we can definitely do that. So that's on my agenda for Thursday. Although you can take the stocking stuffer ideas and just do them up in designer series paper and colors related to Valentine's Day instead of Christmas. And all of those patterns still work. And those are for sale in my shop. Or if you shop with me, if you are one of my customers and you use the hostess code, you are welcome to my tutorials for free. So if you see something in there that you want and you're one of my customers, let me know. If you're one of the other demonstrators and just looking to support me, so that I can come back and share more ideas, you can purchase my tutorials. And there's also the link on my blog for the Buy Me a Coffee. I had people asking me how they could support me in my business, even though they weren't, they were demos themselves and weren't shopping from me. So that's what I found by way of another demonstrator who recommended it to me. And it's really simple. You just click on it. It asks you, if you want to buy me 1 or 2 coffees, and it takes PayPal. It's awesome. So thank you for those of you who have used it. I was shocked and very appreciative that you thought enough to do that for me. So I appreciate it. And remember, the new catalog should be arriving in your mailbox if you are one of my customers. The catalogs went out Saturday in little pink envelopes. And then also the Sale-a-bration brochure, and these will all be good January 5th. So make your wish list, and don't forget free shipping on December 15th, which is this Thursday. So has everybody typed in hashtag Prize Patrol? We're ready to spin. Oops, get my cursor over where I want it. So there we go. Congratulations, Janet. You are today's winner. So just let me know which card you would like. For those of you who win Prize Patrol, I have a claim form over on Google Forms. You get there by going to my blog, queenbeecreations.net, and then in the address bar, do / and then Prize Patrol, and it takes you to the form where you give me your address so I know where to mail off your prize. Congratulations, Janet. And I will see you on Thursday. Thanks. Bye.